Good morning. Okay, now let's go to piecewise functions. So what are piecewise functions? So piecewise defined functions are functions defined by more than one subfunctions. Take note of this, more than one subfunctions, where each subfunction has a particular domain. As an example, we have this. This particular example has two subfunctions. We have f of x equals 4 and f of x equals absolute value of x minus 2. And the domains are these two, so particular domain. Okay, so meaning when we have a piecewise function, it contains more than one subfunctions. So how do we graph a piecewise function? So you may use your basic knowledge in your junior high on how to graph functions or equations. So first we can make a table of values, then of course plot them on the xy plane, and then connect the points, then see if it satisfies the vertical line test for it to be a function. Okay, so for example this one, so we have this, our previous example. So our first subfunction is f of x equals 4. F of x equals 4, and the domain is this one, x is less than -1, meaning from x less than to -1, this portion, this is our x axis, the y value is always 4. So 4, the y value is always 4, so we can create a horizontal line here. So that is a constant function. Constant, no? By the term itself, constant, it doesn't change. So now, why is it that this is a non-shaded circle or a hole? Because look at our domain. Our domain states that x is strictly less than -1. So -1 is not included. So that is why naka-hole. Okay, so that is our first graph. Now how about the second subfunction, x, absolute value of x minus 2? So we have it here. So by substitution, now for example, if your f of x, if your x is -1, so substitute lang. -1 minus 2, we have -3 absolute value, so we have 3. So that is why we have 3. So you substitute that to your x in the second subfunction, so we have this table of values. Then plot this subgraph as a xy plane, so we have -1 and 3, so this one, and it is shaded because it is greater than or equal, meaning -1 is included. Okay, so that is shaded. Next, 0. When x is 0, the y is 2 here. When x is 2, y is 0. When x is 4, y is 2. When x is 6, y is 4. And then, since this is linear, since the highest exponent is 1, no, x lang man, no, linear, highest exponent is 1, so just connect with a straight line. So that is now our piecewise function, or a graph of our piecewise function. And if you notice, if you draw a vertical line all throughout this graph, you can hit the graph at most one. So this is a function. Next examples, we have this. So you just do the same. No, you just do the same. So we have here, these are our x, this is our x axis. So we have these values. It means that if your x, no, for the first part, f of x equals 3x plus 4. So our table of values, we will start with 0 and up. Okay, since that is greater than. So if x is 0, 3 times 0 is 0 plus 4 is 4. If x is 1, 3 times 1 is 3 plus 4, that is 7. So that is why if your x is 0, you have 4. Okay, so this is the 4. It is not shaded because x is greater than 0. So strictly greater than 0 ang domain. Okay, next, 1, 7. So we have 1, 7. Okay, so this is our next point. So 1 is greater than 0. So just connect. This is a straight line because 3x plus 4 is linear. Next, for the second part. For this one, we can have a table of values. Let's start with 0. But since this is less than 0 or equal to 0, so negative 1. So if x is 0, what is your f of x? 11. So that is why at 0 we have this. And it is shaded because of this. Less than or equal. So 0 is included. If it is negative 1, so that is 10. You can use your calculator. So here. And since this is a quadratic expression, so you connect them with a curve, not a straight line. Okay, so that is why we have that graph. And if you notice, if you draw any vertical line throughout this graph, you will only hit the graph at most once. So it is a function. Now let's move now to the application of real function. So you may practice this one. Okay. So that is our graph for this piecewise function, and this is a function. Okay. I will just give a hint for your practice for this one. Absolute value of x, we can write that one as negative 1 is less than x less than 1. So in your table of values, we have negative 1, 0, and 1. So that is why your f of x is, since x squared man, 1, 0, and 1. So that is why we have a curve here, because it is a quadratic form. Kaya highest exponent is 2. And of course, since it is strictly less than 1, so the endpoints are not included. And that 2 and this one, f of x equals 2, it's constant. So for x greater than 1, so this is 1. All throughout this side, the y value is equal to 2. So that is why we have this green graph. And for your x less than negative 1, you just choose 2 points. Okay, by the way, na-shaded na. This is less than or equal, so that is why this is shaded. Just pick 2 points, then connect the graph. So that is now our graph. Okay, let's have this real-life application. So a user is charged 300 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan, which includes 100 free text messages. Messages in excess of 100 are charged 1 peso each. So represent the amount a consumer pays each month as the function of the number of messages sent in a month. So let's say we have this. Let's use C of M, so the cost of this number of messages. So the first condition is you will, or the user will pay 300 for the first 100 free text messages. Okay. Now for the next part is this one, messages in excess, so meaning excess. So M is greater than 100. So your payment will be the 300 for the first 100. So this is for the first 100, so that is 300 plus the excess. That is, you multiply it by the price. So the price is 1 peso times the excess. Excess. Okay, but how do we compute for the excess? It is M minus 100. Okay, excess lang man, so more than 100 text messages, so the excess will be M minus 100. For example, if you have 105 text messages, so your excess here is just 5 ba? 105 minus 100 equals 5. Excess lang man. Okay, so I will erase this so that we can write this properly. So this will become now, since times 1 lang man siya, yeah, we'll write here 1 peso times M minus 100. Okay, so pwede na. Or you can simplify. This is 100. Okay, so this is now our function. Okay, now let's answer the question. If m is 90, let's start. If m is 90, if m is 90, so here that is less than 100, so that is 300. You will pay 300. If it is 200, so we have 300 times 1. Then ang excess, what is our excess? 200 minus 100. So using your calculator, this is equal to 400. C. If your m is 100, so exactly 100, so still it belongs to the first function, so you will pay 300. And for the D, I will put it here. It is more than 100, so use the second function. So 300 plus 1 peso times 150 minus 50, so that is equal to 350. Okay, so you use your calculator. So first is you make the function, piecewise function, and then use the piecewise function to answer the next questions. Next, the cost of hiring a catering service to serve food for a party is 150 per head. So take note of this, per head. For 20 or less, so I will write it here. Say for example, cost of the number of people will be. So for the first, for 20 persons or less, so n, so 0, 20 persons or less, so 20, so less than or equal to 20, so we have 150 per man, so multiply it with the n, number of persons. Next, 130 pesos per head for 21 to 50, so we have 21 to 50, the price will go down to 130 per head, so 130 times n. Next, for 51 to 100, the price will go down to 110 per head. And last, if it is more than 100, the cost is 100 per head. So this is now our function. Okay, so now let's use that one to solve the questions. How much will one pay if the number of attendees is 50? So if 50, so C of 50, what is C of 50? C of 50, that is here, second function, so 130 times 50. That is, use your calculator, 6,500. Letter B. 150. So 150 is n more than. So the last function, more than 100. So we have C 150 is equal to 100 times 150. So that is 15,000. Okay, 15,000. Now for letter C, 20. So 20 we have here 150. So C of 20 is equal to 150 times 20. So that is 3,000. And for the D, 45. So 45 belongs to the second function. So we have 110. So C 45 equals 110 times 45. 110 times 45 is 4950. 4,950. Okay, so these are our answers. Okay, next. Your favorite dog groomer charges according to your dog's weight. So, magdepende sa weight. If your dog is 15 pounds and under, so say for example, C of W, okay, weight. So, 15 pounds and under. So, W is less than or equal to 15. So, the groomer charges you $35. Do not multiply it to W or to the weight because the groomer is not charging you per weight, per pound. Okay? So, fix siya nga 35 if your dog weighs 15 pounds and under. So, $35 lang. Unlike sa previous number 2, it is per head. So, for the next function, next subfunction, if your dog is between 50 and 40, 40 included. So, we have 16 to 40. Since 40 is included, you will pay $40. And if your dog is 40, more than 40, you will pay 40 plus 2 times excess. No? So, what is our excess gani? Pag mag-excess ta, we will subtract these ones from the previous subfunction. So, W minus 40, that will be your excess for the 40 pounds. So, this will be our function. Okay, so this is 40. Okay, we will write this. This is 40 plus. Okay, so let's answer this. If your bulldog weighs 40, so 40 this one, you will pay $40. If your bulldog is 12 pounds, so you will pay $35. Now, if 60, so of course we will use 40 plus 2 times 60 minus 40 is equal to 80. You use your calculator. So, $80. Okay, so our answers are this, and this. And this is our function. Okay. Last. So, you plan to sell Bazinga t-shirts as a fundraiser. So, the wholesale t-shirt company charges you $10 a shirt for the first 75. So, for the first 75. So, let's have CT for the t-shirt. For the first 75, excuse me, the 75. So, 0 T 75. So, 75, we have 10 times T, of course, because it is $10 a shirt. So, parang per shirt. So, after the first 75 shirts, you purchase up to 150 t-shirts. So, from 76 to, I will erase this first. We'll write it there. 76 to 150. So, in this case, excess na. So, for the first 75, for the first 75 shirts, okay, nag 150 naman ka, so more than 75. Ang cost sa first 75 shirts is $750. Okay? First 75 will be 75 times 10 kani. Okay? Times 10 equals 750. That is why we have this 750. Then we will add the excess. No, so for the excess, kanina 750. So 750 times your excess will be T. Excess man minus 75. Okay, excess of 75. Next is After na pod, you purchase 150. After you purchase 150, the price will decrease to 5. So meaning, greater than 150, mag $5 na lang daw. So first, let's compute the first 150. So ang first 150, so kani siya diri second. So we have 750 plus 7.5 times 150 minus wait. So 150 50 minus 75 equals 3 yan siya 150 minus 75 times 750 13125 1312.5. So meaning the first 150 shirt is 1312.5. Then plus the excess. The excess will be $5 times T minus 150. So that is now our final answer, since we are only asked to find or to write the piecewise function. So you can review or replay before you answer your quiz. Thank you.